Yo, what's up? It's your boy E.T. Welcome to another edition of Mass Impact, the educational podcast. Now, look, the reason why I started this, I truly believe that education is the way to close the gap, the wealth gap, the digital divide gap, the opportunity gap. Look, the American dream gap. Can I be honest? Everybody's not experiencing the American dream in the way it's supposed to be experienced. So the reason why we started the Mass Impact, the educational podcast, is to close that gap. Now look, mass is simple. It means motivate, actionable steps, which means what? We're going to give you strategies every week. So we're not just going to motivate you and inspire you, which is important, but we're going to give you actionable steps. And look, it's a support system, y'all. Thus Mass. It's your boy E.T. Now you know. Let's go.
What up? What's up? What's up? It's your boy E.T. Man, what a time to be alive. School's back in session. What a time to be a part of the solution, and not a part of the problem. I know this may sound crazy to some of you who are listening, but leaders thrive on problems. We thrive. It's what we do. I always say one of the things that struck me most about 9/11, I was in Huntsville, Alabama at the time, and a young lady who's like a sister to me called me and was like, "You see that?" And I was like, "What?" She's like, "Turn on the news." So I turned on the news. We were watching like Teletubbies or something. You know what I'm saying? Jalen was little, was watching Teletubbies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at that age, they just take over the whole TV.
I do know, yes.
They take over the whole TV.
Mm-hmm.
So I turned it on and I saw it. And what was astonishing to me was while one group was running out of the building, another group was running in.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like, y'all risking your life, and at that time, they didn't see problems, they saw a solution, and they saw themselves as the solution. So they were willing to risk their own lives to be a part of that solution. And so today, as you're listening, for those of you who identify as leaders, I don't want you to allow what's currently happening and how overwhelming it is to stop you from doing what you naturally do, instinctively what you do. Just keep doing what you do. Don't worry about, like I had somebody call me yesterday even, and they called me and was like, "E," I was like, "What's up?" It was like, "You think it's still time? You think I can still?" And I was like, "What? Yeah, you can. You alive." Like, what does that even mean? I was like, I'm confused. What does that even mean? And why are you calling me? Like, go look in the mirror and tell yourself, yes, you can make a difference. Yes, it's still time. No, it's not that complex. No, it's not. I'm like, I know you personally. You are a problem solver, but you might have gotten in the wrong environment, And so I just want to encourage those of you who are listening today, as we're going back to school, and everybody's like, man, there's so many challenges going on, and it affects the school system. Like, schools is the ecosystem. Like, I don't care what you do or where you are. Like, school is a huge part of that ecosystem. So today, we're going to be mass impact. We're going to be motivating you. We're going to be inspiring you. We're going to be telling you what you need to hear, to get to that next level. And I got to say this, y'all. I don't want to make the intro long, but I got to say this. I was reminded when my boy called me, I was reminded of that video with the lion and the 15, 20 hyenas. That lion, they was on my man. He was strong, he was doing his thing, but they overpowered my man. And you could see in the process of the fight, he was starting to get weak, and he was just like, man, like, maybe I'm gonna have to give up because it's just too many of them. At first he was doing his thing, but they was chomping here. And it only took one more lion. He saw, before that lion even got to him, he saw the lion in the distance and was like, oh, my boy coming. So he got a strength that was crazy. He started fighting again. And by the time the other lion got there, it was still 20 hyenas, but it was 2 lions. And when that second lion showed up, he was like, okay, it's about to be something. You know what I'm saying? Like, the hyenas was like, we might be able to win, but one or two of us gonna die. I don't want to be one of the ones that's gonna die. And they took off. So I'm saying to those of you who are listening today, it's a lot of hyenas around you. It is. But today we're gonna be that other lion. There's 4 lions that we're gonna come to your rescue, and we're gonna give you the energy you need to get back in there and fight. And you gotta hear that part. Go back and put it on YouTube. The lion that was given up actually gained his strength just because he saw another lion. Okay? So teachers, be careful who you're talking to. Be careful who you're talking to. Be careful how you're talking about schools and how you're talking about the kids and how you're talking about the situation. Be careful. Talk about it as a leader who solves problems, not as a individual who's pessimistic and talks about the problem as if the problem cannot be solved and put out that negative energy. And then again, you always know us. It's about being a support system. We're here. Call us. There are some schools that we've been to, some schools we're going to. Okay? We've been getting trained. You know what I'm saying? We've been going to training, getting trained up. Like, we're not playing, y'all. We like the Transformers in this joke, the Voltron of educators. We getting ready, y'all. And then, of course, we're going to talk today, make sure we get you some actionable items. We're going to bring some guests in. And so let's go to Katie as always. Katie, I of course, I know now what we're talking about, but it's not a favorable topic, but it's real and it has to be addressed. Talk to the people about what our topic is today.
Yeah, we like to keep it relevant here, and teachers and administrators, educators, we want you to know we're listening to the things that you're listening to, and that's part of us wanting to be a support system for you. And as a team here, we're constantly in communication with each other about what is going on in the world of education too. We want you to know that. So we've got a text thread that we're continually sending articles to each other and talking about what are ways that we can help be a part of that support system, even in a more impactful way. So we just recently have been looking at a Washington Post article, and the title of it is "Never Seen It This Bad, America Faces Catastrophic Teacher Shortage." So we had all read that article. You can look it up and read it. And we've been talking about how can we look at this in light of solutions, as E had just shared with us. And so it's a real problem, right? It's a real thing affecting our schools and our educators right now. So we want to be a part of the solution with you today.
Absolutely. And we have a special guest. Should we bring our special guest in now? Maybe they can add. Maybe they can add to this dilemma, and give us some insight, and of course, a fresh perspective, and of course, us podcast veterans will come in and chime in on what we think is a solution as well.
Yes. Well, I would love to introduce you all to Dr. Kaylin Holloway. He personally has had a deep impact on me in my educational journey. And so I'm just so excited that he's here. He has spent 8 years in education, 5 years as a teacher, and 3 years as an administrator. He's an education equity facilitator. And one thing that is so special about Kaylin is that he is a product of St. Louis Public Schools and now a leader of St. Louis Public Schools. And so I remember when I was in St. Louis, he had started a boys mentoring and leadership program. And I came to the fundraising events and all that. And I always left inspired. I always leave inspired when interacting with Dr. Holloway. So I am just so excited to introduce him and encourage him to share his wealth of knowledge in this conversation.
Yeah, talk to us, Doctor. I don't know if you were in the background, if you were able to hear our discussion, but yeah, we want to give you an opportunity to chime in on your thoughts. Of course, you've been in the school system, and before there was this challenge, you've seen other challenges. So talk to us. What would you suggest as first steps?
Definitely. Well, thank you all for having me on. Thank you for the introduction, Sam. That article just takes the words out of our mouths, out of the heads of all administrators right now. This is truly catastrophic, as if we needed any more problems in the field of education, especially in working in urban communities and inner city communities. And the shortage is not only, it's nationwide. It's hitting children all over in our rural communities, especially here in Missouri, in our inner city schools. schools. Right now, I have a vacancy of about 3 teachers, and kids are expected to come back in a matter of days, and literally the application pool is empty. The portal that all of the principals use to see when an applicant applied, the minute someone applied, we're just all hopping on trying to grab that person and try to attract them to come to our school. So this is definitely catastrophic, and it just had me thinking back, like, how did we get here? As educators, we always do this thing called backwards planning, right? How did we get to this mode? Some of it because it's quick to say that most of that the vacancies are called by retirees. I know across America, we lost about 1 million educators, but some of them were people who just started out teaching. Some of them were people who just got their degree. And the question, what happened? And I just can't think of anything else other than the pressures that educators must face right now. And I believe one of the things that we can do to not only make this more attractive, which is one of the things that we have to do. So personally, as a young Black male, to recruit other teachers, especially other young Black males, we got to make this look good, right? We got to make this professional. If you've been in the hood all your life, you graduated from college, teaching don't look so sexy, right? So what can I do to make this look attractive, to make this seem something feasible and something that will be something that's going to also make you feel proud of your career. But teachers just need to be human. They need to be allowed to be human, and they need to be allowed to be heard, right? That will attract us with bringing people in and keeping people here. We can all think back to just our lawmakers right now and some of the policies that teachers are having to deal with. And as school leaders, how can we cover our teachers and protect them from that and be the liaison? You know, we must do what we have to do. We have to follow policy and state statutes and just incoming pressures from just society as a general. But how can school leaders step in and kind of cover our teachers? So one, the ones that we have now, continue to stay. And two, so that we can let a newcomer come in like, hey, here's how I am as a leader. And people must really buy into the heart of the leader nowadays. Being a school principal is not going to help you keep qualified people, right? You have to be a leader. You have to be someone that can show empathy with your teachers, someone that can meet them where they are, and be transparent. Even if I don't have all of the resources, what I do have is some of the same values as you.
Yeah, that's good. Dr. Holloway, one of the things I was thinking about, even in the NFL and the NBA, there are kids that don't want to play for the Lions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't want to, you excited about going to the NFL, but you like, man, I don't know if I want to play with the Lions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they've been rebuilding. Somebody hit me up, y'all rebuilding. I said, bro, we've been rebuilding. They building the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like, the streets always under construction. Like, the state is always under construction. So they're just kids that just lose their, that passion when you got to come play and you 0-16. You lose that. So to your point, yes, 1000%. We need to not just assume people understand the teaching career.
Correct.
And we really do need to show all the aspects. Now, I'll be honest, I had something that I was going to say. I'm going to save it. But what you sparked, though, when you said policy, I don't think enough educators who are politically savvy run for office. And we have a lot of people who are in political seats making decisions for education who have not been on the teaching side. We've had people who've been on the business side of education, who understand charter and public, and, they know economically, you're good. They know economically how to make it happen, but they don't know practically how to make it happen. I think one of the things that we need to do is we need to encourage more of our teachers to run for offices. And they need to write policy that is favorable for teachers that show up and go to work, favorable for getting us a raise, favorable, for protecting our teachers and making sure that, I think that's another thing. Like, you see all these shootings. Yeah. There's a lot of teachers is like, yo, I don't want to be in a place where I'm
I
not
do
safe.
think that is impactful.
Yeah, they want to be a place where it's safe.
Yeah.
You know? And there are places in our country that are safe. There are places that they have decided to make safety a priority, and you just can't run up in there without consequences. Our schools need to create policy that creates safety, where our schools are like Fort Knox. We got people on the outside of them, we got people on the inside of them, and you can't get in, because I'm noticing that the people that are creating these challenges for our country, they're coming into empty schools. They're not being met with resistance.
Correct.
You feel me? The grocery store in Buffalo that was shot, like that person wasn't met with resistance.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and I mean, yeah, there was one off-duty police officer, no more. But I'm saying when somebody's coming in with an AR-5, like you need it, that needs to be met with resistance.
Yeah.
So that's my, take. I don't know, who wants to go next, but I just think there are savvy teacher leaders who could get into politics. And even though I know they would prefer to be in the school building, they could have a greater impact outside. And that's the only reason I left. I love education. Like, I'm still about education. Like, I haven't gone nowhere, but I have a greater impact outside of the school than I did when I was in the school. So I didn't run. Well, I did run, but I ran to get support. I ran like went and got my cousins. Like, it's going down. You know what I'm saying? I need all y'all to come support me. And so I went and got all my cousins and said, hey, let's go back in the school district as a group. Let's do the podcast as a group, and let's help, from a different angle.
Man, that's so important, especially, and also along with, encouraging those teachers to do that, amplifying the voices of our parents, right? Especially our parents whose children are going to be hit the worst by this. Letting them know that their voices are worthy just as much as the counterparts, right, who may be creating these laws and policy, and those who are not coming inside of the building. So allowing your parents and working in collaboration with them to also ease some of those burdens. Teaching is one of the only professions where job duties are added and not taken off. Like, one of the only professions where each day you have another. Now we have intruder drill training in about an hour, right? Just every day. So now I have teachers who's already stressed about other things, and now it's not even about the pay. We just gave our teachers an 8% raise. We're now the second paid highest district in the region, and that's great for our inner city public school. But teachers are saying, hey, it's beyond that. I need support, and I need resources, and I need people, quite frankly, just to lay off and just trust me as a professional. And that's what it is. That's why people are leaving, because they feel like they can be trusted, and people are going to leave them alone and let them do their jobs in other fields. And that's one of the saddest things I ever heard, that we have come to that. And these are people who really want to remain in our classroom, and people who would not mind coming into our classrooms, but they feel as if the pressure is just too high. So one, as educators, I got to remind them to look beyond that, right? To, of course, keep your why and your what, right? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Where do I want to do it? Remind them of that, and remind them to look past those things, because a kid, interaction with a kid, a joy in the classroom can cause all those things to go to the back of your head. And it's just about creating those experiences more.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Vondale. I got something after you. Go ahead.
I'm itching.
I see you jump rope.
I got a question. I got a question to ask, because I think it's very critical conversation. And, they say black male educators, we make up about 2%, right? And I just had one of our mentors. He left. He was a physical science black teacher. And he left to do what ET just talked about. He's about to run for alderman. You want to know why? It's because he's not happy with the bureaucracy and policy. Everybody have this social justice bend now as we look for education and this fulfillment. But my question is, how do you, as a black male educator, recruit other black male educators to join when it's like it's nothing in it for me at all? Is it the fight? Is it the social justice fight? Is it like, hey, we're going to add some benefits and support you from a professional development standpoint? Because I'm not going to lie, being in education almost 20 years, at the last 5 years, they didn't know what to do with me because our program kind of outgrew the school. So people were coming to the school just because Champs was in the school, right? So I love to hear from you. What are your thoughts around that?
Definitely. I think that starts at the college level, really at the high school level. So starting next semester, I'm starting a program here within my high school where students are going to be in this Grow Your Own program already, where we're going to be able to answer those questions for those students and start prepping them and getting them ready already. But mainly identifying what that person end goal is, right? Teaching, you learn a lot of skills. There are so many transferable skills as a teacher that you can use and take to any profession. If their long-term goal is to give back to community, of course, this is one of them. Because your long-term goal is to learn how to be organized, learn how to think quick on your feet. If you have a content passion, you can be used in the field of education, and also realizing that you can be more than just a classroom teacher, right? I know sometimes people only think that becoming a leader is so far away, right? If you come in and you do a great job as a teacher and you show your passion and you want to be a leader, that can be possible, especially in a larger district. So even for people who are natural born leaders, but cannot see themselves as a classroom teacher, that's another option as well. And then going back to keeping myself humble and keeping myself relatable to them, right? You don't have to wear a turtleneck every day as a teacher and as a principal. I come in here and I'm the principal with my J's and my jeans on a Friday, and that attracts a kid to say, hey, I can do that. Yeah, you can do that. Matter of fact, you can do it, and you can go home and you can be yourself as well. So that's continually making it attractive to and getting to know the person, getting to know the candidate. And I'm looking for a candidate. If I go on a college campus and I start recruiting, already start saying, hey, you ever thought about that field? I'm going to get to know that person, get to know, like I said, what some of their interests may be, and see how we can blend that and show them how teaching is actually a pretty good option for you, based on what you said.
Yeah, no question. Yep. Talk to me, Sam.
Okay. So I know that I've talked about my dad before, but he's been in the game for over 30 years, right? Like that's hard to find, or that might be a lost art. I don't know in the future. We'll see. Yeah. But 35 plus years. And so what he told me, and it relates back to what you were just sharing, Kaylin, is the autonomy, right? Trusting me as a professional, as a teacher, to really focus on my craft and like bring my creativity and be able to teach. This is what I signed up for. And so, Kaylin, earlier you mentioned like it's the only career where your just responsibilities are like increasing tasks, but not your pay or flexibility or anything like that. So I'm just curious, in terms from like a leader standpoint right now, what do you think has to happen to get back to that teachers feeling respected? Like this is a profession that they stepped into and they can do what they came here to do.
Definitely. I think part of it starts with those that represent teachers having their voice just as loud as the other side, right? So if that's our teacher unions, right? If that's our teacher action boards, if that's our parents, going back to our community, where are who's coming to Calvary on behalf of the teachers, right? Where are the representatives? Where are the leaders that are speaking out? And right now they're few. And if there are, they're us, right? They're us. And then we risk everything that comes along with doing that and being an employee at the same time. Mm-hmm. So it goes back to finding those people who can step in and ambassadors for us. Our kids going to do it. The kids are going to do it for you all the time. But sometimes lawmakers need to see other influential, leaders in the community saying, hey, lay off. That's not right. Having our going back to, like I said, having those organizations that represent us at a national, federal, state, local level, making sure that their voices are just as important. Going back to what we have always been preaching, getting out and voting, and make sure that people who look like us and think like us and sound like us and agree like us, and not necessarily agree like us in terms of doing everything that we think, but agree on our end goals. A teacher should have that autonomy. Teachers should be able to freely teach, making sure that those voices are amplified as well, Sam.
Yeah, and you know what? When you talk about community, I think oftentimes, leaders don't use their community in the way that they should use their community.
Yeah.
I was at a couple of schools, Mumford in Detroit, they have Jamil Hill up, who's with ESPN. They got her picture up. Mm-hmm. I was just telling the kids like, yo, she went here. You see her on now CNN, I think it is. I'm like, yo, these are the people. When you go to your African American museum, she's up at the African American Museum. You feel what I'm saying? So I was just letting kids know when I was there, like, yo, somebody walked through these same halls. My boy Chris Powell, who's a comedian. CP was at Mumford. He got an HBO special. He in LA. He from where y'all. So I think, if you are a leader and you're listening or a teacher, figure out who is from your city, who went to that school. The only reason I'm at Sexton is because TJ, who's my right hand at the church, and CJ, my right hand in business, they both went to Sexton. They both played football together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They grew up together. So for me, it was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get my resources. Let me go to a school that's been a blessing to me. Even though I didn't graduate from there or go there, you feel me? I went to school in Detroit. This is still a school that is beneficial to me. Coach Bogan and I have had a relationship since '96. He's the principal there. He was the head coach there. So I was like, yo, let me go somewhere. And so their kids were blessed to go to the Super Bowl. Their kids were blessed to go to Dubai.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Then I got other people to chaperone who went to Sexton. Sam, Aaron, I was going to call him his another name, but his mama named him Aaron. So Aaron, like these are, I kept in the family. Cam works for us. Cam, and so the school is benefiting from what I'm accomplishing. Financially, is benefiting my presence. And so I think what leaders need to do is oftentimes we look at, the internal resources that we have, and we don't look at the external resources. We look at the obvious resources and not necessarily resources that exist, but may not be as obvious to us.
Correct.
But that we really sat down and did some critical thinking, what we ask our students to do, we could really go. It's funny, we've got a big conference in Chicago coming up, and I wanted to be, sensitive. Women have been getting on me for years about it's too male heavy. I'm saying? I'm like, forgive me. You know what I'm saying? I apologize.
Not this year.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, cool. You brought me your concerns.
Yeah.
So who do I have in my circle that I can call on? So it's Tab, my girl Jenna, and then of course Lisa Billy, who's like a newfound relationship. We're all writers, so we've been in this club together with my boy Roy. And I was sitting there and I couldn't think. They were like, we need a women facilitator, like we need a host, that can interview the ladies because they would have questions and just come from an angle you wouldn't come from. I'm like, I don't debate that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, unless you could pick somebody that's fire, I'm not going to not do it just so that we can have. And I couldn't think of anybody.
Yeah.
I picked up the phone and called CJ, and CJ was like, Kendra G. I was like, yo, why didn't I think of that? I'm like, yo, Kendra, my girl. Like, that's my homie. Like, why didn't I think of her myself? Sometimes we get so bogged down with the work that it doesn't allow us to see, like, what do they say? Sometimes you're in a picture, you can't see the frame. And so CJ said, Kendra, I hit Kendra up at me like, Kendra, like anything for you, E, I got you. I was like, how much you charging? She's like, yo, for you for free. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do something. Let me get my chips first and see how many chips.
She's a member of that church too.
She is?
Yeah, New Life at Pastor Hannah's church. Yeah,
I didn't know. So I'm just saying, Dr. Holloway, I think educators, school leaders need to sit down with their teachers and others and really just go, yo, what resources do we have?
Yeah.
And then what resources are available that we're not really thinking about? And I'm telling you, everybody went to some school.
Yeah.
Everybody's from some city, from some state. And then we could hold them accountable and go, hey, you're a multimillionaire. Hey, you're a billionaire.
Definitely.
Like give back, to the school. I think they would. Katie, talk to us.
Yeah, when Sam said autonomy, I mean, that's what I was thinking of as well. And Dr. Holloway, you said the same thing, like helping teachers to feel like, hey, I can do my job. So I will say, I do think we have got to pay teachers more. We just have to. If we're going to talk about real solutions and helping people to feel like their job is respected, we have to do that. But I absolutely agree that the autonomy piece and helping them to feel trusted is huge. So, and that article mentions that too. I was just looking at it, that it doesn't just talk about pay, but it specifically says that so many teachers are leaving the job because they feel disrespected. And it does say primarily by politicians or some parents. But we have to see like our school board meetings, like people rushing in to defend teachers, not do the opposite.
Yeah,
right?
correct.
And so like communities, like that's your call, right? How do you step up to say, how can I help you, teachers? How can I defend you? How can I be in your corner? And teachers have to feel that. And then I think they have to feel it from their leaders too. You know, there's so much around curriculum being presented with fidelity, which I'm all about on some level, but we also have to respect the art of teaching and let teachers teach what they know how to do well. And sometimes that means thinking outside the box and teaching reading in a different way, or coming up with science lessons that look different maybe than the district curriculum. And we can use both, and both are good. But let's trust our teachers to do good things and to find great resources so that they feel that autonomy in their classrooms.
Katie, and there was another article that came out that I just saw this morning from Forbes, and it said that a lot of teachers are responding to the, if you don't like it, then get out, right? And so I'm curious also, Dr. Holloway, of like, I think you're such a culture builder, right? So like, how do you, when you think about maybe tones around, well, this is what it is, if you don't like it, get out, right? How do you build that culture like in your school to support and retain the teachers as well?
Definitely. One, it starts with us as educators, and a lot of us don't like to hear this, is making sure that we are creating a positive narrative about our role.
Yes.
Right? We have all heard our fellow colleagues, and I'm guilty of it sometimes, just venting, right? Sometimes we vent too much, and that literally affects people not wanting to do the thing that you're always complaining about. So how can we as educators highlight those positive stories and the great things that are taking place every day in school, right? Just to change the narrative and just to make it look more attractive. But yeah, going back to that, Sam, that policy right there, some people will really get out, and that's what we saw. That's what we heard. So it starts with knowing that. I always tell people all the time, you can't not pay me and be disrespectful and not give me resources. You got to pick a battle, right? And when you have all those things, I understand why someone would go with a degree, right? These are professionals who went to school and dedicated for this. And we have to respect that, just like we respect any other profession with a degree and any other profession where I have put in countless hours of professional development to do this, and just counteract that narrative. So as a school leader, making sure that is not present. Of course, I can't control, what come out of the mouths of every adult in this building, but let them know that there's just something we don't do here. Let them know that there's just not a value that's healthy for any kids or that mindset or for any adult. Grasping your new teachers, protecting them from that smog, right? Professional development started this week. I took all my new teachers, I pulled them away from like old teachers, like, hey, I want you all to come in. I want to give you all a fresh lens. Here's what you may hear in the teacher's lounge. How could you protect that small? Because those are going to be my people who are there. And those are going to be my people who are in it for the long haul. And in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of people leaving, first year teachers now that are still coming in are the ones who are going to be our champions, right? They are totally going against the stream. And what can we do to get ahead of that narrative that's going to come out, Sam, to get ahead of some of the bad days that they're going to have, because they're going to have them, right? To be proactive about that and to affirm them and to let them know that we have their back. It's hard and it's tough because as the leader, we're expected to always have our back, and sometimes nobody got our back. And that's just the role of the leader, and that's what we have to do. But that's when the kids come in, right? I mean, the kids come in here on Monday, August 22nd. It's going to be a totally different vibe for all of our schools, and that's something that we thrive off of. And I believe if we can get back to that and remind people of the real reason and bringing the joy into the classroom, that's countless, right?
Yeah, just being in this room with you, having this discussion is really creating, solution for me. Like I'm thinking this thing through. And I just want 2 points. So the first one, I think is super important. And I had to learn this in the work that I do, that the greatest asset we have is our students.
Yeah.
A lot of times we don't use them.
Yeah.
And I say that in the work that I do because I make the assumption that people know what I do and how it affects people. But I've watched other individuals, sway people to go in a different direction you know, because they show all the flashy stuff, the cars, the watches, the house. You know, my thing is like, yo, we do things the right way, you know, and the right way is going to have you in the game. I've been in the game since I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
You know, my celebrity grows every day, you know, because I do it the right way. Yeah. But one of the things I realized is that doing it the right way is important, but sometimes you have to show that you're doing it the right way. Sometimes people have to see that you're doing it the right way. You have to visibly show. And so I think we got to use our kids in TikTok and Instagram. Like, we got to have our children who are doing well, who love school, who see the pop. We got to let them get on TikTok, social Instagram us out. Like, put some stories up there. Tell the story. Create positive energy around school. Have some of the viral videos be physically on the playground, in the lunchroom, in the classrooms.
Yeah.
Make teachers cool. There's a power that students have.
Yeah.
That teachers don't have, that school leaders don't have. There's a power that social media has. It is. I tell people all the time, I've been doing this. They just had VHS back in the day. It just wasn't viral.
Yeah.
You only knew about me if you went in the classroom or if you were at the conference. You never heard about me if you didn't go to conferences. Yeah. Now, with social media, which is a positive thing, you get to see the snippet, and so millions of people can watch the snippet if they want to. So I'd say one of the solutions is getting our babies more involved with the problem. You know, I find it ironic that we want to give them tests, but give them real tests. You know, it's a shortage in teaching. With economic shortage. Like, let's sit around the table and talk. As a student, what would you do? As an 8th grader, what would you do? Like, what are we getting all this learning for? What are they getting all this learning for if it's only for a test that's not necessarily real? It's theory.
Yeah, or it's created by the same people that's going against the laws.
You feel me? Get them involved. And here's the other thing. I may have said this before, but one of the things that I did as a popular teacher, as a teacher the kids loved, you know, I took them to I took them on trips with me. They got a chance to go to the major universities at whatever. One of the things that I did with my power is I shared my power. Some of our teachers don't want to share their power.
Yeah.
So I let it be known.
Yeah.
If you clown in Miss Smith's room, I'm coming to Miss Smith's room. I'm gonna break your neck.
Yeah.
You will not disrespect Miss Smith. Me and Miss Smith on the same squad. Now she might be timid and she might be an introvert and she may not check you, but let her call me and tell me I'm checking you. Like, you do not want to get on her last nerve, because when you get on her last nerve, you're getting on my last nerve. That's my sister. That's my sister. You're not gonna be clowning in her class. You're not gonna think it's okay to behave in my class, but then clown in her class. No, this is one school. This is one band, one sound. And I think a lot of our teachers pride themselves in being phenomenal, but they don't share that power. They don't share their influence. And I think a great teacher would share that influence and let everybody know, like, this is the block we represent. Like, this is cool. We rep Sexton, Big Red, like, as a whole, not on this hall, you act a fool now. I let kids know when they see me. Like, y'all know I'm Big Red. Y'all know I'm up there. Don't clown. Y'all see me. They see me up there. So y'all clowning them up there. They like, what ET up there for? They clowning. ET don't got no. I'm like, y'all messing up my percentage. It's like, what I touch turned to gold. Y'all clowning. I'm not coming back up there if y'all not gonna behave, you know? And so I literally go in classroom. We had up the 3rd floor. Oh man, the 3rd floor was hot as hell almost on the 3rd floor. I was like, yo, every teacher get an air conditioner unit. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's put an air conditioner unit in every, why? Because I got an air conditioner unit at my church. I got them at my house. Let's flourish the building. And so the teachers is like, what? We serve dinners. I had my cook, my show enough deaconess that could throw down at the church. I'd have them come up to the school and make dinners for the church, for the teachers.
Teachers don't want too much. They don't want too much, and I ask them.
It's true.
So I'm just saying, the solutions are in the school. Stop always looking outside. They're in the classroom. These babies are not dumb. They putting up videos. They blowing up. They becoming millionaires off YouTube, off Instagram. Like these kids are getting Hulu to look at them, Netflix to look at them, Disney to look at them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like these kids, they powerful. Use some of that power for free, you know, while they're in the classroom.
Definitely. And then that looks like inviting them to the staff meeting, right?
Yeah.
We was having a meeting the other day. We're trying to come up with a new theme, and all of these adults were in there wrecking our brain, trying to figure out something that the kids might not even like the colors of the shirt recreated. So bringing them in and using them, sitting there writing. I mean, if you think about any other profession, they look at what the customer would like, right? If this is a grocery store, you're going to survey your customers. You're going to hear their voice. What can of spaghetti sauce are they picking up the most? And how can we tailor? That's the same thing. We need to be so student-centered in our decisions and everything. And then students, using them to help you recruit, right? Not just come and teach here, but having the kids say why you should come and teach me, right? Why you should have the honor and privilege of being able to be my teacher. Man, that switched the whole narrative right there. And then to have someone on the edge or someone who really not thinking about it, instead of me coming from a business perspective, have the kids say, here's why, you know, here's what you could do for me. Here's how I can learn from you. And here's how you can learn from me.
I love it. All right, y'all. We're at that time, man. Doc, you spark. You got the fire. You got the fire burning.
Yeah, I'm fired up now.
Definitely want to invite you back. And of course, Katie will be calling you to see how we can support you.
For sure.
See how we can support you and support the work that you're doing. I always call us the Jonathans. We're not David.
Yeah.
We're not going to be king. But we're going to support the king. And we look to put the king in the best role and the best position, you know, the king could be in to become king. You feel me? So as a leader, we want to support you, because when we support you and take care of you, that means hundreds of people are being supported, you know, and taken care of. So we thank you for being with us, and we'll invite you back. Next time you come, though, we're not going to have you in the back stage. We're not going to do a big introduction. You fam. So we're just going to bring Dr. Holloway all the way in.
I'm looking forward to it.
And I think we're going to have to bring a student too next time. All this talk about student voice.
I would love that.
So we like to end with a power minute. You know, so I'll start with Sam. We'll work our way around and just, you know, in 60 seconds, you know, give our last solutions on this particular topic.
All right, my advice is for school leaders. As you approach this school year, make sure you get to know your teachers and what their interests are, right? Because they might really love, like you just talked about, social media, and they want to help be the social media manager for the school, and that brings them so much joy, right? So I would just say, get to know your teachers, see what their other interests are also, and how you can continue to build that community and provide autonomy.
Love it. Love it. Talk to me, Vondale.
Yo, protect your energy, y'all. It's a lot at stake for what's ahead, and it's going to be a lot of things pulling at you. So protect your energy. Know why you're doing what you're doing, and know that you're making an impact on generations to come.
Yeah. Katie.
Love it. School leaders, give your teachers autonomy to think about who their customers are. As Dr. Holloway said, what spaghetti sauce do they want? And that's the students. And so let's choose some books that your kids want to read and get them engaged. And the teachers will love feeling the autonomy of being able to do that as well. So I'm going to give you an idea. There is a really good book that you might want to grab.
Oh, I just pre-ordered mine yesterday.
Yes. And if schools pre-order like a large amount or a bulk order, there's all kinds of like exciting benefits for the schools too. So, you know, any book you can go grab that your kids love, but this is a really good one. Your kids are going to want to read it. And more autonomy for your teachers. They're going to love that too. So
you. Dr. Holloway, talk to us.
Yes, definitely for leaders. Don't get stressed out trying to get the big wins every day. Focus on the small wins for your teachers. The things that you can do, that you can control at the building level, right? The things, meeting the teacher where they are at the day, making sure that you just check in and not forgetting to make sure that they're human and that they're heard.
So since Katie showed the book, I'm going to give you a chapter out of the book as my solution. You're not alone. Yeah. You're not alone. Mm-hmm. You're not alone. Don't tell yourself you're alone just because you may have a subject that you teach that may be specific, you know, because, you know, they close the door and your 30 students or 20 students are in the classroom with you. You're not alone. Yeah. That's not the truth. That's a lie. You're not alone. there are other teachers in that building with you that love the kids and love the school just as much as you love the school. And watch this. You can do more together than you can do apart. You can do more together than you can ever do on your own. So create the dream team. All right. Don't just be on a team. Create the dream team. Magic, Bird, you know what I'm saying? Scotty, MJ, you know what I'm saying? Patrick Ewing. Get the dream team. Barkley, the mailman. Like, create your dream team at your school. And the dream team can do a lot more together than those individual talents I talked about, on separate teams. So once again, we're going to take you to the principal's office. Coach B, they're all yours. Thank you all for tuning in. Spread this out. Remember, we are available to come to your school and help your school. All right, it's your boy E.T. Mass impact. This is the year to make mass impact. We cannot do it individually, but collectively we can change the world.
Welcome back, everybody. Mass Impact, the principal's office. We're recapping and reviewing some of the most impactful points from today's broadcast. And today, we got to have a heart-to-heart because this is a pretty serious topic. It's the teacher shortage, right? We broke down this article today talking about the teacher shortage in America and the consequences that that's having in the classrooms and how severe the problem really is. And of course, the question that automatically comes up is, well, what do we do about it? Right? We know that there's this big problem. We're hearing about it everywhere that we turn, everywhere that we look. But what can we do to help be a part of the solution to this problem? Well, the first thing is we have to focus on the solutions. Now, of course, we have to recognize the problem. We have to respect the problem, the magnitude of the problem. But after that, we have to shift our focus a little bit. We have to turn our attention to the solutions. It's not going to do us any good to dwell on how big and bad and scary the problem is. It's going to do us a lot more good to focus on what we can do about it. How can we take personal responsibility, not put it on everybody else? How can we take personal responsibility to solve the problem of the teacher shortage? How can we make an impact? How can we influence other people around us to be a part of the solution? The more solution-oriented we become, the more positive our mentalities get, and the more energized and passionate we get about solving this problem. So that's number one, is we have to be solution-oriented. Number two is we have to be leaders. Why do we have to be leaders? Because somebody in this episode said a quote that it almost threw me off a little bit. I was confused because they said leaders thrive on problems. I said, wait a minute, shouldn't leaders be solution-oriented? They said, no. Leaders thrive on problems, not because they create the problems, but because problems make them operate at a certain level. Problems take them from 100% to 120. Problems make leaders stand up and say, you know what? Yes, this is a problem. Yes, this is significant. Yes, this is a negative situation, but I'm going to take it upon myself to solve this problem and be a part of the solution. How can you go to another level because of this situation? How can you do what you've done in a way that you've never done it before, more passionately, more intensely than you've ever done it before, because you're trying to be a part of the solution to this problem? That's the mark of a true leader. And that's what we're looking for in you. That's what we're looking for in all of ourselves. That's what we're trying to create with Mass Impact. Now, E.T. took this point and used it to remind us of 9/11, right? A tragic event. But he said there were two groups of people. There were people who were running out of the burning building, and there were people who were running into the burning building. Now, it doesn't mean that the people who are running away from it are bad people. It doesn't mean that they were cowardly. It doesn't make it a bad thing. We're not judging that. Self-preservation. But it does mean that there's a difference in the mentality of the people who are running away versus the people who are running towards it. And same thing with this. We're not judging the teachers who might be leaving the workforce. There's nothing inherently wrong about it, but there's a difference in the type of individual who's running away from this challenge and the type of individuals who are running towards this challenge. We just want to be a spark. We want to help energize those people who take it upon themselves to run towards the challenge of solving this problem. You can do the same thing too. Again, it doesn't mean that you have to go out and recruit 100 new teachers. It means you have to do what you do in a way that's so excellent, that's so good, that it creates a ripple effect, creates a butterfly effect, where other people are attracted to what you do. And they say, you know what, I want to get into teaching. Or maybe there's that teacher who was on the verge of quitting and they see you do what you do and the way that you do it, and they say, you know what, because of you, I'm going to stick around just one more year. And then another year after that, and then another and another and another. Or maybe some of the students in your class, maybe you inspired them to go on and become teachers. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to start with you. It's going to start with us, and we have to be the solution to this problem. We have to run into the problem, not away from the problem. Right now, all over America, teachers are running in when others are running out. It's going to be us. You know, they also said in this episode, don't get too overwhelmed in a way that's going to stop you from making the impact that we're already making. So it's kind of a double-sided coin, because yes, you have to go even harder than maybe you've gone in the past in order to make that impact of running into the problem to be part of the solution. But at the same time, you can't turn your back on the impact that you're already having every single day in the classroom. We've talked about this before, about how the smallest things on a day-to-day basis in your classroom can have the biggest impact, the biggest effects on your students. So we can't let that slide. We can't run ourselves into the ground to the point where we become burnt out so that we can't create that impact as well. And so my Auntie Val used to always tell me there's no such thing as balance. It's always a rhythm, right? So you can go 120% in this season, and then maybe next week you're taking your summer vacation on a beach in the Bahamas. I don't know. It doesn't mean that you have to try and balance going all in with what you're doing now and focus on self-care at the same time, right? That's a concept that's really popular now, but you can't do both at the exact same time. You can't give absolutely everything, 100% to what you're doing, and also focus on self-care. But you can give absolutely everything today, and then tomorrow go to the beach. Right? So it's a seasonal thing. We have to all find that balance that works for us so that we can maintain our current impact while also building more and more impact. There are a lot of challenges, more than ever before, and we recognize that. We acknowledge that. There's a lot of challenges in the teaching industry, in the educational space right now. But if nothing else, we want to be the people that say, you've got this. Right? If nobody else tells you, we want to be the people that tell you, you have what it takes. You can do it. You are the person that we need in this time, in this circumstance, in this situation. During this teacher shortage, we need you. We need you not to do anything special, not to do anything different. We need you to be who you already are. That's what we need. That's what your students need. That's what the industry needs. And certainly what Mass Impact needs. Last but not least, we want to give you the energy to get back in the fight. You are leaders who solve problems, and your kids need you. No story time today. I just want to end it right there. Your kids need you. All right? Until next time, thank you so much for watching Mass Impact, the Education Podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.